cactus and succulent growers, I'm Lynn. Welcome to Desert Plants of Avalon in the north of Ireland. And in today's video I'm going to be repotting my 28-year-old Aloe Variegata plant, now known as Gonialoe Aloe, into a new pot and new soil. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history about this plant. Well, you may think if it's 28 years old, why isn't it very big? Well, it would have been, but possibly about 10-11 years ago, I made a video at the time. It was a very long time ago. This plant actually suffered with rot. It was growing very large, and I had it leaning over a rock in my old house in the conservatory, and it rotted back, and I had to take a cutting, and I saved a couple of the pups as well, which I have. But this is the actual part of the top growing tip that I managed to save. So although this is only the growing tip, it's still the genetics from the 28-year-old plant. This is the original part here, coming into growth again here, but obviously it's a lot shorter than what it would have been. And if you didn't see that video, I'm sure many of you haven't, because it was in the early days of my channel when I showed all about this plant and when I had to make the emergency cut on it. You must watch it after this one, and I'll link that video up above. You'll see how it is now and how it has this is the main mother, the main growing tip anyway, from the mother plant, so I've been able to save it. I'm going to talk a little about how I care for this, a little bit about the care conditions. Well, this is an aloe that, again, it's one of the South African aloes. I have many aloes in my collection. Just take you a quick little scooty into the polytunnel here. Many aloes, as you can see down there, different types, and other ones here, a lot also here on my plant stand, and a big aloe vera there. I'll probably do a video on all of my aloes once I've got myself sorted out. Sort of busy at the moment with so many plant jobs. Anyway, back to the Aloe Variegata here. And this is the one that in my experience is not cold hardy. It's the only one. Most of my aloes are pretty cold hardy. I keep them in my polytunnel all through the winter at a minimum of 5°C, 41 Fahrenheit. This one, however, does suffer from cold damage if it's kept below 10°C, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It may not die, but it does. I found mine struggles and gets a bit of yellowing and scarring on the leaves. And last year the year before, I should say, a couple of years ago, I had it out in my polytunnel, and it didn't do well with the cold, and it suffered with a lot of leaf dieback. So I kept it indoors in the kitchen this year, and it's doing very well, as you can see, loads of new growth. Now though, it's going to go back out into the polytunnel for the spring and summer, because it loves to go out in the light and the heat. It's an aloe that does prefer a little bit more shade than many of the other aloes, such as aloe vera, that can take a lot of sun. This one likes more indirect bright light, can take a bit of morning sun, a bit of late afternoon sun, but avoid midday sun. So this is an aloe that can go a little bit burnt if it gets too much sun. So a nice bright location is ideal for this. Produce gorgeous lovely flowers, usually towards the end of the summer, early fall, even into the winter time. And it's pretty much an aloe that is quite pest free as well. I don't really have a problem with mealybug or anything like that on this, or spider mites, or the usual. Scale insect can be the biggest problem, and talking of mealybugs, it tends to be more of a problem on the roots of aloes in general, and haworthias, gasterias, and even agaves, because they have fleshy roots. Well, so do keep an eye out for root mealybugs, but the actual foliage seems to be pretty much okay. When it comes to repotting, again, as with all succulents, a very well draining soil mix. I make my own soil mix up with 3 equal parts of sand, pumice, or grit. If I don't have pumice, I'll use grit, and a loam based soil, LOAM, as long as it's a well draining soil. Different sort of what I've used in here. I've used more vermiculite and a pumice in this one, because this also had a case of root mealybug, and I had to then cut all the roots back and reroot it. Anyway, that's a whole long story. So I used a very gritty mix because of to prevent root mealies, but it's okay now, so I'll be fine with this soil. And again, I give it a little bit of tomato feed. Apologies for the wind noise. It's a little bit blowy today, but it's way too nice of a day to film indoors. That's why I'm outdoors. A little bit of tomato feed used at half strength with every 3rd to 4th watering I give this, and that will help to encourage blooming then in sort of late summer, early fall, even into the winter time. And as I say, keep it more warmer than other aloes at a minimum of 50°C over the winter. Cool and dry. I would only give this a wee bit of water in the winter time. I have it in my kitchen, close to the window, and it's an aloe that I find does like to have a little bit of water in. As I say, it's more of a warmth loving aloe, so I do give it a wee bit of water in the winter, usually about once every 6 weeks, just to stop it from shriveling out. It seems to do really well like that, but don't go ahead and water as you normally would do in the spring or summer. I would water this every time the soil has dried out in the pot, and it seems to do really well. And this is what I'm going to be bringing back into the house when the temperatures go cold, because they are not frost hardy, as I mentioned, in any way. So it's a little bit about the care here, and now I'm going to get to repotting. Now, although this aloe doesn't need repotting as in a bigger pot, I do want to change its soil, because as I mentioned, I've used a lot of vermiculite and pumice in this the last time because it had root mealybug, and I find that's very good sort of soil mix to prevent root mealies. But I don't think it's got particularly much of a root system, because as I mentioned, I had to reroot it again because I just cut the roots off with the root mealies. It's just easier to reroot again with these type of plants. I have to do it quite often with my other types like Awarthias as well. So just going to tip it out and squeeze it. I'll just check that you can see. Maybe pull the stand back a little bit. Yep. There you go. Oh, great. Happy days. And then I'm just going to gently shake. Well, it's got a great root system. I'm happy about that because I had to reroot it. And this, by the way, is perlite. It's not root mealybugs. This is all perlite and pumice, I should say, not perlite. It's the pumice. So sometimes pumice and the same with perlite, when you're using it in the soil, can look like root mealybugs. But you'll know the difference because root mealybugs have a bit of a bluish tinge to them, and when you squash them, they'll give off a juice. As you can see, that's powder. So no problem there. Happy days. So you always want to check over the root system. That's where I had to cut it and reroot it again. And this, as I say, is the top cutting from the original main mother plant. So it is this top part is still 28 years old, guys. It's going to remove any of the lower part of these leaves here. Great, and give it a shake. Don't need to remove any more of the soil. That's absolutely great there. I'm also going to prune off these dead leaves as well. So then put that aside. That's the old soil. I'm going to actually go and get a smaller pot because, as you can see, it doesn't need a pot that deep. I'm just going to look for a different one. So there you go, a bit of a better pot as well than what it was in. So I'm just going to put the soil in the bottom here. So you can see I've put a bit at the bottom there, and then I'm going to lift this guy in here with the roots, and then I'm going to very carefully put the soil all around, so it's going to love this change of soil as well. And do any of you have this lovely aloe, or Gonialoe as it's called now, in your collections? Do let me know in the comments down below. It's a very common aloe, and it's one that's quite easy to find in a lot of garden stores and garden shops. A lovely looking aloe as well. Gently press it down. Lovely. I'm just going to top dress it now with some nice grit to finish it off. Now I've got the grit here. On it. And putting grit on isn't a necessity, but I always think it can finish certain plants off nicely. And there we go. And then I'm not going to be giving this aloe a water for about a week. And the reason for that is I like to let any of the roots settle. I haven't, as you can see, the roots were nice and loose. I didn't have to disturb them too much. But I always like to leave it a week to 10 days when I repot cacti and succulents, just to allow the roots just to settle into the new soil, because they get disturbed when you repot them, so there's always a slight chance of root rot. I'll just move this up a bit here, and I'm just going to take off these dead bits here. Aloes, as the lower leaves go up and the new growth comes through, as you can see there, it's quite normal for these lower leaves to die off. I think personally myself, this has been too close to, I've had it in the kitchen, close to the kitchen window, but also under the grow light, and I think that might cause these little tips. Not a problem. But there we go, happy days. And I'm just going to go and show you one of the pups that I got from this mother plant. This was also one of the little pups that I saved from the main mother plant. So this lovely 28-year-old, this Aloe Variegata, commonly known as the partridge plant as well, has been in my care for many, many years. And I remember even when I was living at home at my mum and dad's, I had that in their windowsill. So it can tell a tale or two. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Do please subscribe if you haven't done already. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you can upload it when I upload. So when you can be notified when I upload new videos. Do follow me on Insta, Twitter and Facebook at Desert Plants of Avalon, and check my website out, desertplantsofavalon.com. I want to wish you all a fantastic plant-powered day.